Hello. This is Els coming from Bemis Crafty Corner, and this is this week's project of the week, and it is just a tiny little kind of a display tag book. It's got a few tags in here, and then it's got some little tabbed cards that pull out, and then lots of pages to just be able to put pictures or write in and things like that. We're going to need some adhesive. You might want to use some double-sided tape on this. I know I've been using this a lot lately, guys, but you know, double-sided tape will work for some of the parts of this. You're going to want a scoreboard, a scoring tool, and a bone folder. You're probably going to want some kind of measuring device, and you're going to want some Tyvex. Tyvex is those paper fabric mailers that you get from the post office, or construction jumpsuits. You can also get rolls of Tyvex. If you know somebody who's like built a wood shed or something and they've wrapped that, they've probably wrapped it in Tyvex. You can probably buy the rest of the roll off of them, or you can get a small roll at your hardware store. However you want to get it. I think this even comes in a tape, like a 4-inch, 3 or 4-inch size. Some Tyvex. You're going to want some chipboard, and you're going to want some sheets of 8.5 by 11, and you actually want let's see, how many sheets of paper do we actually want? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 sheets of 8.5 by 11. I am using 110 pound from Recollections because it's thicker to make my base. And then of course, you know, whatever kind of decorator paper you want, scrapbook paper, or cardstock that you want to do the rest of it. And then just bits, pieces, and scraps that you're going to be using to make your tags and stuff, depending upon what kind of tags and journaling cards you're going to be adding to it. So that's the basics as far as what we're going to need. I'm going to go ahead and get started on some pieces for you. Of course, all of the measurements and the score lines and everything are going to be in the description below. So I've mapped. So let's cut some covers here. So we're going to start by cutting 2 pieces that are 3.5 inches by 4.5 inches wide. This piece happens to be 4.5 inches tall, so we're just going to cut some 3.5 inch wide ones. And I'm going to be using the knife to do this because this dulls the blade in my cutters. So we're going to cut 2 of those. And then we're going to cut a 1/2 inch strip for the spine. Let's just bring this out here and get that lined up on there. We're going to do a 1/2 inch piece. Again, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. And that's it for the chipboard. And then we're going to do some cutting of some paper here. So we'll do this one first, and then we'll do that. So now we have all of our bits and pieces. This is going to be our spine, and then these are our 2 covers. So we're going to use the board here to make sure that we keep everything nice and straight. And I'm going to give myself about 1/8 of an inch, or the thickness of the chipboard, on either side. Okay, you can use a little washi tape to kind of hold this all down if you want to. So once we've cut our pieces and we have them kind of tacked down with a little bit of tape, we're going to cut down some Tyvex to 4.5 inches by about 2.5, 3 inches wide. And this is going to be what we're going to use to create our binding here. So I'm going to turn this over so that I have the side without the tape facing up. And I'm going to be adding some glue. Now normally when I do this, I do it with a brush, you know, and I brush the glue on, but this isn't really a very large piece, so I don't think we need to do that here. We're going to put this on. Kind of press it down. Then we're going to flip the whole thing over, take our washi tape off. Now we're letting the Tyvex hold it, and then we're going to put the other piece on this side, and this will create our cover. And I'm going to use my scoring tool here. And I'm just going to find that kind of crease. I'm just going to press that in, turn this over, and do the same thing on the other side. We want this to be able to fold and still stay flat inside and out. So you can use your bone folder here to kind of press this down nicely. And then just go ahead and set this up like this, and just set it off to the side for it to dry. And I like to dry it in this position because this is the position it's going to be in 90% of the time. So I want it to be able to be in this position, okay? So, alright, so the first thing we need to create are the fins. To do that, we are going to cut a piece of paper that is 4 1/4 inches. By 8. Okay. And then we are going to score this along the long edge every 1/2 inch. So the 1/2 inch, the inch, the 1.5 inches, the 2, the 2 1/2, all the way across. And then once we have this all scored, we are going to fan fold it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And this is going to create the bracket on which we're going to be placing the pockets. So I'm going to go ahead and fan fold this, and then we're going to use some tape and glue to create the fins that we're going to be putting our pages onto. Alright, so when we're looking at this and it's all fan folded, we want to put the ends facing down, which should give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And when we turn it over, we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, with the fins facing down, we're going to skip the first one, and we're going to go here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and here. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14 from the left. We're going to place double-sided tape on all of those. Now you can just do glue if that's what you want to do. I like to use both, the tape to kind of grab and the glue to like really hold it. Okay. Now, we're not going to be putting any tape on the last one, okay? Because that is an outside piece. So, just on 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14. We're going to make sure that we push this tape down because for some reason, burnishing the tape actually helps it to release. And then we're just going to release the tape. I'm going to put some glue on the opposite side. And then I'm going to go ahead and put those two sides together. And I'm going to do this all the way through. Now once I have this all the way through, I'm actually going to put a couple of clamps on it to hold it nice and tight while it dries. Alright, so once we're done with this, we can put this to the side. Doink. Put that to the side. We're going to get out our remaining pieces of cardstock. Now we should have one piece that's left over from the piece that we cut for our fins. And then we'll have 3 more sheets. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to line this up. We're going to cut a piece that is 3 1/4 inches. Right there. And then we're going to cut a piece that is 3 3/4 inches. And that's going to leave us with a strip that's about 1.5 inches wide. Okay? We'll save that because we're going to use it later. Now, on the piece that we have that's 3 1/4 inches, we want to cut this down to 9 1/4. So we're just going to put that in the cutting board. For me, it's just easier to show you on my grid. I'm going to go to 9 1/4 inches. Right there and right there. Oop. We're just going to cut that piece off. Save that, it's good cardstock. And then on the other piece, the 3 3/4 inch piece, we're going to cut this one to 8 3/4 inches. Now when this is all said and done, these are going to make the same size pockets. Yep. Okay. Now, let's get out our scoreboard and bring it over. And we're going to take the narrower piece that's longer, and we are going to score this at 1/2 inch with the long side in the scoreboard, 1/2 inch. And then we're going to turn it completely around, and we're going to score this at 4 3/8. Okay? And then on the shorter piece, we're going to score this one at 4 3/8. And then you're going to score it on the short edge at 1/2 inch. All right? We're going to do that for all of our pockets. Now, this one's pretty easy because this one is just fold it, burnish, fold your 1/2 inch, burnish that, and then we're just going to put some glue on here, just on the flap. And if you want to, you can miter this little flap here. A little bit of glue. And then we're just going to bring this piece over. Press it down. And that is actually your side load pocket. So you're going to either have 4 of those or 3 of those, depending upon which order you're going to put them in the book. Entirely up to you. And then on this one, again, we're going to fold and score this in the middle. And then we're going to fold and score along this line. But we're going to remove half of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to miter in here, and then I'm just going to cut that whole piece off. I'm going to use my bigger scissors for this. Right up to that score line. Okay, and then I'm going to miter the other corner. Go over this one more time with the bone folder. I really want to press that as flat as I can. Some glue right here. And then I'm going to fold this over. Over that. Now that's going to be your top load pocket. Now, I know you're going, but this side's open, but that's the side that's going to go on the fin. Okay? All right. So once we take off the clamps, we are going to want to miter all of the corners on our fins here that are sticking out. All of these fins need to have the corners mitered. Okay? On both sides. And you are cutting through glue, tape, 2 pieces of cardstock. So it's a little bit tougher than you think it might be. And you want to do both sides. And what you want is a piece that looks like this. Okay, now once we have that, we have our pockets. Next part's pretty easy. You are going to find your 2 open ends. Okay, and skipping the single one for the first double flap, we're going to take some glue. And we're going to put some glue on both sides of the fin. And then we're going to take one of our pockets and we're going to just slide it over. And push it all the way down, and we're just going to hold it for a second. And now we've established this is the end that we glued together on the pocket. So that's the opened end. So this is going to be our top. So the next one, we're going to make sure that the top is up here. So again, we're going to put some glue on both sides. And then we're going to take the open end of our top loading pocket. And we're just going to put that on the fin, pushing it all the way in. Just hold it for a couple of seconds till it adheres. And then we're just going to keep alternating between the side loading and top loading pockets. So while the guts are drying, let's work on the cover. And so for this we have our cover that we built. And I have cut a piece of paper, and my cover all the way across is 7.5 inches, a little hair over, by 4.5 inches. So I have cut a piece that gives me 3/4 of an inch all the way around. So I cut a piece that is 9 by 6. And I'm going to adhere this and fold this in so that I can use this as my cover. Now, before I do that, I am going to get rid of some corners here because the corners are a little difficult to fold if you do this otherwise. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting some glue on our book. And like I said, normally I would do this with a brush, but this is such a small surface that I'm just going to try it this way. Okay. Turn this over, and I'm going to put it on here, giving myself about 3/4 of an inch all the way around. Just put the lid on that for a second. Turn this over and just press it really well. And we're just going to finger fold this up. And the reason for that is this is graphic 45 and it will tear easily. It'll crack. So the easiest way to do this is to simply fold it up and then just kind of finger press this. Don't score it. And then I'm going to wedge in and take off these corners. And what I do is I wedge in till I'm almost to the corner and then I wedge out. So I wedge in almost to the corner and then I turn my scissors and wedge out. And then I'm going to dry fit this by folding it over. And then we're just going to put some glue on the paper. Side down. I'm just going to press this really well. And I'm going to do the opposite side, so the bottom. And I've gone with a really neutral design here on the paper so that I can change it up with decoration later. I didn't want to go with something that was too pre-designed. We'll do these other ends. Okay. And then we're going to bring this in. And we are going to cut some end papers to go inside here. And this is 3.5 by 4.5. So we are going to go about 3 by 4. Just kind of dry fit those. Fabulous. All right, so we're going to take this. I'm going to get out some wider tape here. And I'm going to put a piece of double-sided tape right here. Only this section though, and I'll show you why in a second. You'll see. Just like that. I'm going to take that off. And then I'm going to press this down nice. Remember I said we didn't want to do anything right in this area? I'll show you why. Alright, so I'm going to take the paper off. I'm going to add a little bit of glue here. And I'm going to add some glue to the little flaps here. And then I'm going to take this whole thing, find my center, and I'm going to glue this down. So we are glued up, and at this point we are going to put in our pieces. So we're going to decide what's the top here. So we need to look, make sure that we get the right piece. This is the bottom, so that makes this the top. Let's just check our pockets. Yep, this is the top. So since our paper is directional, so I'm going to put some glue on the back of this. Put these in. Okay. Just double checking. And we're going to put one here on the front. Right. So now we have our book. Okay, so we need to cut some tags and inserts for these. So we're going to measure them, and in case you have forgotten, they are about 3 inches wide, 3¼ inches wide, by about 4¼ inches tall. So in order to do tags at the top, they need to be 4½ inches, and you want to have them 3½ on the outside here so that you can make the extra. Now, on the ones that go in from the top, the tags, Those you're not going to cut at the 3 inches, even though it's like 3.5, because you have that fin in there. So you're going to cut those at 2 3/4 inches, and a 2 3/4 inch piece is going to fit. So let me go ahead and cut those two sizes for you real quick so that you can see how those are going to fit. So the first one we're going to cut is going to be 4 by 3.5. So we're going to go 4 by 3.5. Set that over here, and then the next one is going to be 4.5 by 2 3/4. Now you could go 4 3/4 if you wanted to, if you want to have a little bit more of the tag standing out top. Entirely up to you. All right, get the scraps out of here, and we'll go ahead and take a look at the two pieces, and we'll dry fit them at this point. So we're going to take the first one. This is the one that goes in the side. And as you can see, it fits in and it gives you this nice piece where you can make a tab at the top. We're going to do the tab in a second. And then on the next one, this is the one that goes into the top pocket. And as you can see, that one fits in there as well. So we're just going to test it kind of in every pocket, because if we need to trim it, now is the time to do so, okay? So we're just testing this in all of our upright pockets, and it fits nicely in all of them. So we do have the right measurement here. So you're going to need 4 of one and 3 of the other, and it just depends on which way you did your pockets, okay? If you did 4 upright, then you need 4 of the 2 3/4 by 4.5. If you did 4 of the outside ones, then you'll need 4 of the 4 by 3.5, and so that'll just be your judgment call. All right, so we're going to get started. Now I'm going to show you on the envelope punch board, but I will show you a couple of different ways of doing this. So on the punch board, the first thing you're going to do is put this in, and you want this to be, this is the 4-inch side, and you want it to be just about in the center of the blade, and punch it. And it's going to give you that tab on that side, and then just move it over as far as you want to make a tab, and then punch it again, okay, and give you this little tab right here. And then you're going to use a cutter, and all you do is put this in and make sure that the shallow part of your dip is right on your line there. And then you just take your blade, plunge it in, and draw it down, okay? So you want just like right there, and it gives you your little tab, okay? So that's one way to do it. If you don't have an envelope punch board, what you can do is use a circle, and you just go in and put half a circle, come over as far as you want to go, put in a circle, and then just same thing on your envelope punch board, on your cutter, and then just slice that off, and it gives you a nice little tab, okay? And then you can use a corner rounder, or just, you know, round this however you want to, and it'll make your little tabs for you. Okay, so we cut our side pieces, we tabbed them, so we have one at the top, one in the middle, one at the bottom, one at the middle. So these will go into our pockets, and then we're going to cut some tags for the top loads. So what I'm going to do is decide where I'm going to take this off at, okay, and then I'm going to use a piece of washi tape on my board, and I'm not putting it on the paper. What I'm doing is I'm putting it right next to the paper, and then I'm going to cut my corner, then turn my tag over, put it right up against the tape, cut my piece off, and that gives me my even piece. And now I can use that template to make all my tags, and they'll all be exactly the same. Okay, now if you want, you could put a little piece of tape at the top, and that'll give you your 2 points. You put your top there, and your side along here. And then when you cut them even. Alright, so just as a reminder, we are using Graphics 45 Flutter on this one. And it's because I have like whole bunches of pieces of this collection left and a couple of 12 by 12s, but I have an 8 by 8 pad that is pretty full still. It's almost a full pad. So we're going to be using this, and we're also going to be using more of this blue cardstock that we made our tags and stuff out of, because we're going to be using that to kind of cover these if we want to mat any of these for anything. But let's go ahead and get started. So I like to kind of do my tags from these points down, so I'm just going to measure that. And that tells me that it is about 3 3/4, give or take. So I'll go 3.5 by 2.5, and that'll give me a decent sized mat. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to cut one of those just to see. So I'm going to go a 3.5 by 2.5, and we'll get a scrap of paper here. It looks like it'll take, be the right size. So we have, let's cut this piece off so we know where we're at. So that's 3.5 right there. So let's go 2.5 right there. And we'll round the corners. I did use a large corner rounder on these, so we're going to use a larger one here. And this is just a test fit and see how this works. And that's perfect. So I now know that on these it has to be 3.5, 2.5 by 3.5 to make my mats, and I can do front and back on these if I want to, or just one side and leave the back for writing, whatever I want to do. So I know what I'm going to cut for those. And then this one here, we are going to round these corners as well if we can. Okay, if we can't round the corners for whatever reason, we won't round them. So like here, okay? We'll get the last one that we threw on the floor, and we'll do that one too. There we go. Okay. So now on these, we have 4 inches by just over 2.5 to this point here. So we're going to go 2 3/8. So I'm going to write this down. 2 3/8 by 3 3/4. So we're going to go ahead and cut a piece that size and see how that looks. So again, we're going to go in here and grab a scrap that looks like it's going to fit. If we have a scrap. And we don't, so we're going to go into the pad. So we're looking for a piece that's at least 2 3/8 by 3 3/4. And I do have some pre-cut paper in here, so. All right. We want this one to be 2 3/8 tall. By 3 3/4. Rounding the corners on this. Let's see. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and cut enough pieces to cover those. And I will be back once I have all of these cut and ready to go. And then, we'll work on the rest of it. I'll be back in just a few. All right, so we have our pockets, and these are not very thick pockets, so we're going to do the primary bulk of our like decorating here on the outside. And this book is not really designed to have a lot of heavy decoration, so we're going to be using a lot of the stickers and the thin chipboard that comes with this pack and the journaling tags from the 8x8 pad. There's to make it to them. There's a set of journaling cards in here, so we're going to use some of these as well. Some of these bits and pieces, like some of the strips and some of the little things. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover these with the same paper we made the tags out of. So we're going to get that paper out, and we're going to cut. These are 4 1/4 by 3 1/4, so we're going to cut 4 by 3 inch pieces, and we're going to go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. We'll need 14 of them to cover all of the pages. If you want to do some of them in the decorated paper, by all means do that. The whole idea of this is to use up some of your smaller scraps. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my pieces to get started, and I will be back with you once I have all my pieces, and then we'll start to assemble everything. I went through and cut all my pieces, rounded all my corners. So now I have all my page pieces, and I decided to ink these, but I didn't want to ink them, in the traditional brown ink, because we're not really going for an older look here. What we're going for here is kind of a fun look. So I went through my Wheel O color, and I decided on this blue, which is Bliss Blue from Stampin' Up. It's a water-based ink, so it's very light and very translucent. And I decided on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my book and my glue, now that I've inked all these up and rounded all my corners, and I'm going to put one of these on every single page in here. And you can use tape if that's your adhesive of choice. I live in the desert, so tape is not my friend. So I'm going to go ahead and do one of these on every page, back and front, all the way through my book, and then I'm going to get started, pull out all of my decorations and everything, and I'll be right back, and we'll get started decorating. Alrighty, so we have all of the cards done. We have matted all of our pages. Now, this is designed to be an open book. It's designed to stay open. It's not designed to be closed. It is designed to be open. So now we're going to decorate some pages, and we want to stick to kind of the smaller decorations that we have here. We're just going to do a few here and there, not a lot. Don't need to do a lot. Kind of one little thing per page works, because this is for writing little memories and things in. And luckily we have some of these really small little pieces here that we can use. We're going to add some words to this as well. Let's see. Okay, so this is the piece that I'm going to be putting on the front, and I have some fabric tack, and I have selected this knit trim, and I'm going to start in the middle at the bottom. I'm going to put a little fabric tack on this, kind of all the way around. And you could use hot glue on this if you want to, and entirely up to you. I'm going to do a small section here, and then I'm going to put the straight edge on, and I'm just going to kind of give it a little pleated fold in the corner. Bring it up. We'll add some more glue, work some more around. Now, fabric tack doesn't dry too fast, so you can work for a few minutes with this. Up. I'm going to do that little pleating fold where we turn. We're going to go this way. So I'm going to bring my lace over. Just makes life easier to do it that way. There we go. I'm going to add a little extra fabric tack in my pleat, just to hold it. Oops. Over. Again, we're pleating. Going down this way. A little extra fabric tack in the corner there. We got one more to do. I know, it's so weird, huh? A bit more glue here on the corner. And back over. Now I'm going to make sure that this covers one over the other, about 1/4 of an inch or so. And I'm going to glue that down. And that's just for aesthetics, just so it has a finished look on the bottom. Got lace, glue, lace over the top, tuck it all in, a little extra fabric tack over here for that. There we go. So this is our little kind of more of a tag kind of picture type journal thing. So we have our little piece on the front here that says Bloom and Grow, and we just added a little bit of lace around it. I did add some washi tape to the spine just to kind of differentiate it a little bit. And then on the back here I used one of the little circles and made a little button, and then I just put my ribbon through it with a little fabric tack to hold it down, and use that to tie the whole thing together. So when you open it up, you have your 3 tags at the top and your 4 tabs along the side. And then we just went in, I added this little phrase here at the front, and then I left the cards pretty much the way they were because the paper was a little busy and I didn't want to create any more chaos on there. So we didn't add anything to those. We left the backs blank to be written on. And then we have our little tags, and we did do a little, just a little something on each of the tags just to add a little individuality to them. So we did decorate all of the little tags up kind of cutely, and we put those in there. I put some eyelets on them just for the, for the look, because we wanted that look. And then I have them all in here. And I can just tie this whole thing together, and I can go through and I can write something in here, and I can put pictures in the pockets, or I can mount pictures on the pages, whatever I want to do. That's it. That's my little tag book. I hope that you enjoyed this one. If you did, please go ahead and like the video for me. Give me a thumbs up, all that happy hoo-ha-ha. Listen, if you're new here, do me a favor, subscribe, like me, ring my bell, and share me with all your friends. And then your friends can be my friends, and my friends can be your friends. And our friends can get to be friends. And before you know it, we have a giant crafty community. Until I see you guys the next time, bye-bye.